Hello, welcome to another video, and today I'm finally going to release a video for my reaction to Gregg Berhalter's 26-man USMT squad for the World Cup. Alright, so let's begin. So it's over 8 years since we last seen the USMT at a World Cup, and right now we're going to see the USMT back in action in a World Cup yet again. It has been a pretty long time considering that we didn't go to Russia, and obviously right now with this roster, I wasn't. There was some good. There was some good. There was some pretty bad selections. So let's get over my reaction over to these picks. So most of you guys are going to be familiar with the roster. So yeah. So let's start off with the goalkeepers: Matt Turner, Sean Johnson, Ethan Horvath. Zach Steffen was not selected. That was pretty interesting. Zach Steffen has been pretty poor at club level, and obviously his performance for the national team have been pretty inconsistent. So for me, it was kind of pretty understandable of why Gregg Berhalter decided to keep Zach Steffen at home. The interesting part is that he selected Ethan Horvath and Sean Johnson over Zach Steffen. So Matt Turner, if he's healthy, obviously he's going to be one of the three goalkeepers. We already all know that. And obviously we know that Matt Turner is probably our best goalkeeper right now that we have right now in this moment in our current pool. Matt, Sean Johnson and Ethan Horvath, they had some good performances for the national team. Sean Johnson, I believe he had a really good game against Uruguay, in my opinion. Ethan Horvath, obviously, we haven't seen much of him for the national team, but obviously we all remember that Nations League save he made last year. So obviously that was a pretty epic performance from Ethan Horvath. Matt Turner for me is going to be the starter for obvious reasons, obviously, and obviously for me he's the most complete goalkeeper out of the three, and I do have trust in Matt Turner to keep clean sheets during the World Cup. So now let's go to center backs. So center backs, this is pretty interesting. Tim Ream, Walker Zimmerman, Aaron Long, and Cameron Carter-Vickers. So obviously we all know why Walker Zimmerman should be selected. Obviously he has been the best but he was our best center back during qualifiers, and we know that. Tim Ream, I believe he does earn this roster spot because of his performances in the Premier League, and obviously he has captained Fulham before, so obviously I do have a lot of confidence in Tim Ream in his performances for so he can. I have confidence in Tim Ream that he can perform for us in the World Cup. Cameron Carter-Vickers, the same thing as well. I have a lot of confidence in him for performing good at the World Cup. But Aaron Long, my goodness gracious, Aaron Long is a terrible ass pick. Considering that you had other choices, you had Eric Palmer Brown, you had James Sands, but you decided to pick Aaron fucking Long. Yeah, not well. If he starts, well, our dreams are cooked. Like if he starts in the World Cup, our dreams are cooked. Like straight up. Uh, Aaron Long is a very terrible defender, and obviously his passing does not make up for it. He is a very terrible player for the national team, and I believe he shouldn't have been selected. There have been a number of center backs that Eric Palmer Brown obviously is one of them. James Sands, another great example. There's even better center backs in the MLS than Aaron Long, to be honest. We can name Matt Miazga, who is a way better center back than Aaron Long and has been in way better form. And obviously, Aaron Long is just a very average MLS center back. If we're going to be really honest over here, we could have selected John Brooks. We could have selected there's a number of guys we could have chosen over Aaron Long, but we decided to bring Aaron Long. Like if Gregg Berhalter had already learned this lesson. So obviously now let's go to fullbacks, and these are weird picks. Fullbacks: Jedi Robinson, understandable. Sergio Dest, pretty understandable as well. Joe Scally, pretty understandable. DeAndre Yedlin, we all know he's very useless. The only thing he offers is chemistry. The only thing he offers is experience, which I don't think is that useful, to be honest. And Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore is a very weird pick for me. Shaq Moore is an incredibly weird pick, in my opinion. We could have selected Brian Reynolds. Uh, Obviously, Shaquille Moore is a decent right back in the MLS, but obviously there are way better right backs in the MLS than Shaquille Moore. I can name Brandon B, who's a way better right back than Shaquille Moore. Shaquille Moore for me is a better player than DeAndre as an overall. But obviously, I was not expecting Shaquille Moore on the roster at all. Who could have we selected as well? Reggie Cannon. Reggie Cannon could have been another option. Pretty obviously it's weird. Like I really do not know how to express myself by just saying it's weird. I do not know how they should come more make the roster. It's a pretty weird selection. Uh, I look at he's not gonna play that much. To be honest, I don't see him playing that much in the World Cup. Uh, pretty weird selection of selecting Shaquille Moore. So now let's go to midfielders. Bernard and Christian Roldan, Linus Musa, Weston McKinney, Kellen Acosta, Luca De La Torre, and Tyler Adams. So Luca De La Torre is going to be good enough for the World Cup. He's going to be fit enough for the World Cup according to the doctor. So hopefully he can perform well for us in the World Cup. But oh my goodness, when I saw Christian Roldan, I was like, so what the fuck, Gregg Berhalter? You selected Christian Roldan? Roldan is a very terrible player. He is a terrible player. He has never done anything at the national team level, and I don't think he's going to do anything anytime soon. Christian Roldan is like 26, 27, so obviously he's at his peak. So obviously he has a shitty peak. So he's not probably not going to grow any more after that. He's coming off an injury. Obviously, that's another bad issue over there. There's some bunch of big bunch of red flags for Christian Roldan, and obviously his form with the national team is the biggest one of all of them. There was a big number of players we could have selected over Christian Roldan. We could have selected Malik Tillman. We could have selected Malik Tillman. We could have selected Jordan Mihailovic. We could have selected who else? Alex Mendez. We could have selected Richie Ledesma. We could have selected who? Who can we name as well? Those are picks that I would rather obviously have over Christian Roldan. But Gregg Berhalter decided to bring Christian Roldan to the World Cup, so yeah, we're fucked. We could have selected Taylor Booth. There's a number of players we could have selected over Christian Roldan, but instead we decided to keep Christian Roldan on our roster, which is a really horrible decision by Gregg Berhalter, and is a total waste of a roster spot. Now let's go to the wide players, the wingers. Christian Pulisic, Timothy Well, Gio Reyna, and Jordan Morris. So Christian Pulisic, Timothy Well, and Gio Reyna, amazing picks. Don't have to say anything about them. They are amazing players. Timothy Well has been playing really good since recovering back from that injury. But my goodness, is Jordan Morris on this roster? Why is he on this roster? I for real don't even know why. Jordan Morris offers nothing to the national team, and he offers nothing to our team. Jordan Morris should just he should. I think Jordan Morris should stop getting selected to the national team. He's a very useless player for the national team and is another total waste of a roster spot. Jordan Morris offers nothing to us. Again, he is a terrible defender. He's a terrible at attacking and he's terrible at defending. Like his effort's not even there. His effort's not even there. I don't even see it half the time. So, to be honest, Jordan Morris offers nothing to the national team. And obviously, I would rather have Paul Arriola rather than Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris is that bad. We could have selected Malik Tillman over Jordan Morris, obviously. But instead, we decided to keep Jordan Morris in the roster. What the fuck? Now let's go to the strikers. Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas, Haji Wright from Antalya Sport, and Josh Sargent for Norwich. So, no Ricardo Pepi. Another terrible decision by Gregg Berhalter. Haji Wright is a pretty weird decision for me. We only saw Haji Wright only once with the national team. And obviously, he haven't seen much from him ever since. He has been pretty decent in the Turkish league. He has scored 9 goals in 12 matches, I think. So obviously he has been pretty decent on form. Josh Sargent is as well doing pretty good on form for himself as well. And Jesus Ferreira obviously he comes from recently choking in the playoffs with FC Dallas. So obviously we know that already. Uh, obviously Haji Wright is pretty decent pick. Dash Sargent pretty decent pick, but Jesus Ferrer over Ricardo Pepe, are you serious right now? And no Jordan Peacock. I didn't even mention Jordan Peacock. Jordan Peacock should have been selected to the roster, but he did not. So obviously there's a whole lot of terrible picks over there. So obviously that's pretty much the roster. I think it's a pretty, considering that this is our World Cup roster, this is a pretty terrible this is a pretty terrible roster. Considering what we had to work with, we had a bunch of players who should be on the national team and they were healthy, but were not selected, which is a pretty dumbass decision by Gregg Berhalter. And obviously, the decision to not bring players like Malik Tillman, the decision to not bring players like Eric Palmer Brown to the World Cup, the decision to not bring players like Alex Mendez, the decision to not bring players like Ricardo Pepi is mind-boggling to me. And for me, I do believe Greg Berhalter should be fired after this World Cup. So yeah, obviously let's go over his possible starting 11. So look at, I think we'll start Matt Turner in the World Cup. That's pretty obvious. Center backs, I do believe Tim Raymond Walker Zimmerman would start for us in the World Cup. I don't think Aaron Long is good enough. Jedi and Sergio Dest will be our starters for the fullbacks. Um, and obviously with midfielders, obviously I do believe it'll be Brennan, Tyler Adams, and Yunus Musa. I can't see Weston McKennie start, but all it depends on if he can raise his form up, which I think he can. Wingers, wide players, obviously will be Christian Pulisic and Tim Weah, with Gio Reyna coming off the bench, being a super sub. And strikers for me, I do believe it will be probably Josh Sargent or Haji Wright. But do not be surprised if we see Jesus Ferreira in the World Cup. So obviously, don't be surprised for that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Adios. Bye bye.